What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Scratch Agency podcast, hosted by Scratch Agents for Scratch Agents. My name is Stephen Turnbull, founder of T5 Insurance Services in Clinton, New York, and I'm joined by my co-host today, the one and only, you already know, hold your applause, Mr. Sean Fitzgerald, founder of Sound Harbor Insurance in Long Island, New York. Mr. Fitzgerald, how are we doing down there?
Everything is great. Everything is great. You called me earlier today, and we had a brief conversation about the never-ending SOPs that need to be created for our agency. And I thought I had this whole thing freaking figured out, man. And then things pop up every day. Create a new SOP on how to remarket, update the renewal SOP. It's like a never-ending sick cycle, but that's what I was up to today.
Well, I'm super excited to have our guest on today. We've been back and forth on just social media. It's the first time I've been able to spend time with her, so I'm super excited for that. And we apologize in advance, Beth, because we're going to take you back to those Scratch days, but that's what we do here on the Scratch Agency podcast. We have Beth DeLaForest on, who's the owner of Aspire Insurance Group. Beth, thank you, first off, so much for taking your time to join us. How are you?
Yeah, I'm so good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat with you guys.
Absolutely. So take us back. We were talking a little bit before we recorded. We're about 11 and a half years in now, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So talk to us of the story of starting up, and then we can work our way back to where we are today.
Sure. Okay, so I'll kind of do a flyover version, and let you guys dive into whatever piece you want, because there's a little bit of a kind of, it's like in like segments. So, I fell into insurance when I was 20, as a receptionist at the Big Red Farm, and I stayed there for 10 years. And thankful for those days because training was great and I learned really, really tight operations. So I had a really good grasp of, what a day-to-day looks like in a healthy, well-run, very simple, obviously, because it's a captive situation versus independent. So, and then after 10 years, it wasn't the right fit anymore. And so I was actually going to leave the industry, but my husband kept being like, because I kept saying, I want to be in a helping profession. And he's like, well, you are in a helping profession. Although for me, it didn't necessarily feel like that given the captive world, right? And all the little dynamics that happen there. And so I just took a leap of faith. So after 10 years there, I started a book of business at an independent insurance agency where I was allowed to negotiate first right of refusal. And so I had to, those of us who have been through the transition of captive to the independent side, I think you learn real quick that, oh, wait, I thought I knew insurance. And now I realized I didn't really actually understand the world of insurance. And then the independent side came. And so I relearned insurance for 3.5 years, built a book of business, and really, really, really dug deep into commercial. It was something that was always really intriguing. And after 10 years of just doing personal lines, you realize it's pretty, black and white. There's a little variety, but more black and white. And the commercial side it's really interesting and intriguing to me. And I felt like there was a lot more opportunity. I wouldn't get bored with it. And so after 3.5 years of building a book, purchased my book, and that was what started Aspire in 2014. And so that was a really interesting dive because I had never actually serviced on the independent side. I had only sold. Although on the captive side, I serviced and sold. So I in theory knew what to do, but learning all the carriers, rolling books of business over, it was drinking from a fire hose. So I feel like I went through that 3.5 years of building a book, but then it's turning around and then building an agency. So I had probably a good 7-year, hard 7 years of drinking from a fire hose and being really humbled very often. So, interestingly, my kids, when I started my book of business, were 2 and 3. And so when I started the agency, I had to really build us in a way where I had time freedom. Um, and so I actually built us remotely starting in 2014. So that was kind of a little bit of an interesting twist. So when COVID came, we were able to be really nimble, and it really played in our favor. But now everybody's like, so many people are have that model. So I'm like, oh, I need to come up with like my new unique thing.
So
So,
the agency that you were working at, the agency where you're growing the book of business, and then you
Mm-hmm.
basically bought that book of business to start Aspire.
Mm-hmm.
That was the
Yep, I
transition.
was a agent for like a 1099 agent role, and
Gotcha.
how that agency specifically was structured is we were assigned like a personal lines and a commercial lines CSR,
Mm,
and they would help us service and quote and that type of thing.
gotcha. Yeah, I'm curious. In 2014 of starting like fully remote, like what were some of the challenges around there? Because I mean, COVID was a big wake up call for a lot of Main Street
Mm-hmm.
agencies. One that I was at the time working at, that it was difficult to transition to that. Like, oh, we got to get
Yeah.
laptops, or we can't open the door, like all these different things. And like, what a great advantage that you were already doing that. But doing that so early on, what were some of the challenges at that time that you
Oh
experienced
gosh.
doing that from the get go?
Yeah, it was that was actually really a challenge. Um, we use a VoIP system. We Easy Links is what we're on. We That was in the cloud already. So that was what we used. And I'm literally trying to remember. I think there was something like Log Me In, or there was some
yeah.
like they were super primitive,
Hmm.
but we did it. The efficiency of it then compared to now and what I've learned, there's very wide.
Sure.
Like I've learned a lot, and it does not at all look the same as what it did then. Um, but we did have, I mean, it was me, and then my husband helped me with quoting right away, and then our first hire actually was a CSR out of Illinois. So I mean, we made it work, but it was definitely way more challenging.
Yeah.
Log me
Now
in.
it's
Oh,
easy.
I haven't heard log me in so long.
Yeah.
I remember them from my
When
Nationwide days.
Yeah, when you asked me that question, I was like, that was the first thing that popped into my head is log. There was a
Nightmares.
couple others that we used, and for the life of me, I cannot remember their names. It might be from PTSD. Like I might have
Probably.
blocked it out because it was not an easy thing to build. And then I really struggled with okay, so I'm going to walk in and I'm going to these accounts, and I'm going to be a female agency owner that's primarily commercial, that's built remotely. How many people are going to actually take me seriously?
Hmm.
Like that was not, it was so far out of the realm of anything normal then.
Sure.
Um, yeah, but it worked. Here
Yeah.
we are.
That's interesting. Sean, I know you have something to touch on. I just want to share this before. It just never seems to surprise me over and over again how many different ways you can do this business. And when I left my family agency, which is 155 years old, like you want to talk about Main
Mhm.
Street, COVID was a big wake up call there. But
Yeah.
when I left and then met Sean, which was like 3 months after, and he told me, oh yeah, I started this agency a year ago from my second bedroom and I'm fully remote. Like for me, it
Yeah.
was just, I had the horse blinders on the whole time of, this is how every
Totally.
insurance agency is operated in the country, right? This is the Main Street way. You wear your
Hmm.
suit and people come in and they, sit down with you. And when Sean and I developed the relationship that we did, and he's like, oh yeah, I just started in my bedroom, and we're growing this way, and I got this
Yeah.
commercial employee on this state and this state. It was just a wake up call, right? Because you only know what you know, but it's just I just wanted to share that, Sean, because
Hmm.
I think it's so many different ways to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, 100%. Beth, I'd love to ask you, what is the marketing strategy you guys kind of have in place now? Are you trying to grow organically? Are you looking to purchase agencies? I know you purchased the book that you grew at the other
Hmm.
agency, but now what does like kind of like the growth strategy look like? Because I know there's just so many different ways that people do it, and I would just love to
Yeah.
hear how you guys are working that strategy.
Yeah. So I've done a lot of exploring on this, and I don't think there's one right way to do it, but I was mostly interested in what's the best right way for me personally and for Aspire. And so first, we have done two acquisitions. Ironically, kind of tying into what you were just saying, Stephen, is that our first one was in 2020, and it was a Main Street paper agency that really COVID really exploited, um, that the weaknesses of not being able to shift. And so that was, so we have done that acquisition. And then I did another small book purchase in southern Wisconsin um, a year and a half ago. So we've done two. Um, as far as, I just make sure I balance those out with organic growth. Our organic growth strategy, I have really learned over time, and this is something that I've wrestled with over the last couple of years, and I would say it's probably been in the past year where it just really became clear to me that for us, I'm really not interested in growing with an actual like agent model. Um, uh, we uh, we tend to really have a lot of referrals that come in. Our clients are referring a ton. What I have found that I'm good at is I love people, and I'm good at relationships, and good at taking care of people. I'm good at advocating. And so once I have referral relationships, and if I'm really just focusing on the taking great care of the people that are sending us business, we've been able to really get the phone to ring into us. So I kind of, our mantra has been attract versus prospect. And I think too, um, uh, part of that is I don't really love managing salespeople. Like I've found that I get way more excited about them than they are excited about themselves. I pour more energy into them than they put forth. Whereas I were to take that energy and put it into my referral partners and growing the business, like I would be way further ahead. And I have learned this the hard way. And trust me, I've tried probably over 10 times now. And maybe some of it is a failure on my part, but I kind of don't care anymore. I've learned what works for us and what's growing us. And I also know when my team is happiest. And so the way that we're growing it's a good fit for all of us within the agency. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So
It's
referral based, really
it-
referral
it's
based.
it's so refreshing, and Stephen, I know you can attest to this. It's so refreshing when you talk to somebody who just knows what they want. you know, like I feel like in this industry, it's like so many times it's like, oh, what do I really want to accomplish? What am I trying to go to? But like just that simple thing of you knowing, like, hey, I don't enjoy this aspect. I think for me personally, I can grow the agency more efficiently and larger by doing it this way. And you just know that's the way you want to do it and you're attacking it that way. I think there's just so much power in that. So some
I
people might say that's not the best way to do it, but for you, you're
Hmm.
doing what you love, and for you, it is the
Right,
best way to do it. So
right.
I just think that's awesome.
And I don't think there's one way. I don't think my way
No,
is the right way, but I do know for us it is.
yeah,
yeah, you just said it. It's the right way for you. I love this. I love this so much, and I want to dive deeper in this. And the first thing that came when I was listening to you talk about that came to mind is a scratch agent. They're 90% of the time it's me. Maybe I get a VE. Maybe I get a licensed CSR. Okay, now it's time to get to the producer. Nobody's talking about attracting, not prospecting. And if
Mm-hmm.
they are, very little. I think a lot of scratch agents get in that mindset of, and like this, use Sean and I as a perfect example, like completely two opposite sides of the spectrum as far as how our agencies are operated. He's very successful with leads. I'm very successful with community. Complete differences, right? But it works. Like we
Mm-hmm.
said, it works for us. Can you just
Mm-hmm.
dive in deeper about your experience, and for some people that are listening, about, I love the attract versus prospect conversation, if we can dive deeper into that.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I learned, and I'm gonna kind of wrap what you just set up a little bit, is when I was at the Big Red Farm, we used to buy leads. And I'm not against that. That's a really good tactic for some people. In fact, one of the people that worked there, oh my gosh, like he was like a killer with leads. It was crazy. Um, but one of the things that I noticed was happening is the more leads that they bought because they're shopping on price and not relationship, they weren't so sticky. And so you almost became a little bit of like a hamster on the wheel, and retention became harder because the same people that found you from price are leaving on the back door of price. So if you're not super proactive, which we are, but even as much as you educate people that you're an independent agent, you see, come to me to shop and you can be proactive. Like in this day and time, like loyalty is at an extra low, like they just
Sure.
pick up the phone and start shopping
Yeah.
themselves. And so I realized for me that our retention's high because it's built on relationship, and also the referral and the attraction type of method. One thing that I love is my team loves what they do because it also protects our client culture. Like we talk about culture within an agency, but we need to also be remembering that our clients create a culture that our team is working with these people. And um you can't it's like birds of a feather flock together, right? So if I have a good referral partner that's a really good connection with me, that's a good reflection of how we do business, and not all of them are, and it is okay to let referral partners go when they're throwing crap against a wall. Then you're going to have people in your book of business that are a pleasure to work with. You're not going to have your team picking up the phone to screaming angry people that you know it's and so I think that's like it's the big picture of that for me that really was and just also seeing what I saw at when I was at this other agency too. And I watching that, and I used to run like a telemarketing program there. And so I had enough, especially after 10 years, I had enough like, this is not how I'm going to do this. And I knew that I had good relationships, and I knew um, that I'm good at building trust and taking good care. So I can leverage that. Um, I also think, as far as when it comes to um, building a business based on attraction versus prospecting, is right now, especially the buyers are super savvy. The second they start smelling a sale, it's like there is like a radar that goes off, and they're turning around and hightailing it out there. And so when it comes in through a referral, you start up higher on that trust curve, right? Like that you start up where there's already a level of rapport there versus like it being cold. And that makes a really big difference. So yeah, I think that would be, and it's just leveraging relationships.
And
That's
what are
it's a
some of those relationships you're leveraging for that inbound?
So, okay, I have what I do is I have my marketing gal help me with this. I have a list. It's an Excel list, and actually it's funny. I used to try to like come up with a CRM for referral partners, and when I talked to Billy Wagner, he's like, just use a spreadsheet. Keep it simple. So we just have an Excel spreadsheet, and it has a list of referral partners, when I've met with them last, just details about them. And I do something called 31561. So my marketing person does make sure this is on my calendar. Um, so it's 3 meetings a week with high touch type of, referral partners, key accounts, um, 15, 15 written reach outs. So I shouldn't say written. It can be reach outs like an email, a text, that type of thing, just touching base and connecting with key people. Or it can just an email like, hey, I found this article. I thought of you for after our last conversation type of thing. 6 actual reach out phone calls, like where you're picking up the phone and checking in. And it could be to, schedule a meeting, that type of thing, but just checking in on them. And then 1 gift a week. And that will just go through, like, I know one of the mortgage brokers that sends me business. she loves birds. And so one of the gifts I've got for her is just like funny customized socks with birds that says like something funny on the bottom, like if you see the bottom of my feet, I'm probably bird watching. It is something like that. But you do something that's really unique and for
Yeah.
one of your and it's so it's it's mortgage brokers, it's commercial lenders. Um it's I have a handful of other brokers that just send me their commercial lines and let me run their commercial lines for them. Um yeah, I mean it's I always say think of the people that are in touch with your client before they would need you. So think backwards, and then whoever it could be CPA, it could be financial planner, um, that so it kind of stretches the gamut. But of course, like commercial lenders, mortgage brokers, realtors tend to be, and current clients are a lot too.
So
This is right up your
what
wheelhouse, Stephen.
I know. I'm all over this. I'd be curious to talk to the agent, whether it's scratch or somebody that's like looking to go more towards the referral game, and like what would you say to them with the objective or the objection of like, well, I don't want to come across like, hey, I just want you to help me. I think that's
Yeah,
the area where some people struggle with this, when it just like
yeah,
building the relationship versus Mr. Mortgage Broker. Thanks for taking this coffee today. My name's Steven Turnbull. I own T5 Insurance. We can help, and we're going to be this amazing referral partner for you. Please send us business. Right. And I think
yeah.
there's a gray area in there, like you said, the custom bird socks, like all these things where you can actually say, hey, like we want to be a partner with you. What would you say to those people that struggle with that conversation?
Yeah. So I think first of all is making it clear that we know. So saying something as simple as we know that we are behind you in the process, right? Like let's just take it as simple as a homeowner's, which then we will say we only take on full-time clients, so people will know that right away. But let's just take a mortgage broker, and they're going to send a client. So you're going to have a conversation when you're building a relationship with that mortgage person, and you're going to say, yeah, I mean, with how the process goes, it's easy for you because you're ahead of us in the process for you to pass things on. But it's not like by the time they get to us, the
Right.
financing is done. So there's an inherently going to be, um, you know, that I think just putting light on it, just say it, just say what it is, because sometimes they haven't thought about it. Like, oh, well, referrals need to go back and forth. Well, how are you going to market for? I mean, and you can, I know I've seen some like marketing out there where people do market for mortgage brokers and stuff like that. So you could do something like that. But I really just shed light on it. Like, just talk about it, because then it's out there, and then it's a matter of you making them look good. So like we'll do certain things, like they have their own link that they can send people through, and we'll be like, oh my gosh, like you are working with Kim, you are in the best of hands, you're gonna go to the top of the list. Oh, you made a fantastic, so really elevating that person in the eyes of their client. um is one thing. So just making sure you're making them look good. Also, it means turning things around in a timely manner. So like, oh, you go to the top of the list, and then making them feel like they're extra special because they came in through this person who they did a really good job of picking.
Mm.
And then the other thing is I have this form, and it's the most simple form. I literally think I got it like 10 years ago. It's in they where they talked about r- interviewing your referral partners, as in like, how do you see this relationship? Like, how is it a win for you? What are you struggling with right now? Like, is there anything I can help you with? So finding ways to also help them, like maybe it's a book that you read already, and they're talking to you about an issue that they're having. So finding ways to insert value into those relationships, and keeping them informed, like keeping them fully in the loop as well. So I think it's really just a matter of like treating them like you would treat a good friend that's also in business, right?
Right.
Like, and if you're good at you know, keeping your promises and taking care of the people that they're trusting you with. And then you're doing a good job of communicating with them and also making sure that you're aware of just bringing them value. Um, then it seems to stick. And honestly, these are the like most simple things, but they're the things that people forget. Like I sat down with this woman a few weeks ago, and she wanted to grow her business, and I really enjoy her company. But I realized like the reason she was having a hard time with building her pipeline is she's not nurturing relationships. Like she'll meet with somebody, and then it just,
That's it.
yeah, and you're gonna be forgotten,
Mm.
so you have
Yeah.
to stay in touch and stay in communication. So that 3-15-6-1 is how I do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Beth,
and
oh,
you're being
sorry.
intentional about it. No, sorry, go
Mhm.
ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
I
was
have
good.
somebody else help me with it, because otherwise it's not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great point. I was going to ask you with that system, I'm assuming is part of that. I think you said maybe it was the 6 part is where you're reaching out to potential new referral partners, or is
You could.
like,
It
okay.
absolutely could be. And it's also, I mean, think of it too of this way, like a lot of let's just say you're personalized and you're going to grow mortgage brokers. Talk to some of the realtors that you work with and be like, hey, who are your top 3 favorite
That's
mortgage
a
brokers that
huge
you work
point.
with?
That's a
And
Yeah,
you
that could be
call
one
them
of
and
the
you're like,
6. Yeah.
hey, so and so, they just said that you're like one of their favorite lenders. And so I wanted to reach out because if she knows you or he knows you, I want to know you too. So let's grab lunch or let's grab a cup of coffee. Like, how flattering is it for them to hear that somebody said something nice about them and now you want to know them too? Like
Yeah.
it's not authentic. Like it's not you're not doing it from you want to grow your network, but you want to grow
Yeah.
with the right people.
Yeah, I think it's super important to have a system like that because I would imagine now you have it down to such a science where if I'm doing 15 calls a week, I know that I'm going to get one new referral partner because of that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also, it makes it, if, if someone else wants to take this system and try it and they want to hire a producer, it's good to have something that you can measure,
Yeah.
because what I found with just other agencies that I've spoke to that grow organically but don't really have a system in place. It's like, yeah, one week I got 3 leads. We just work on customer referrals. Another week I got 26. Then I got 1. Then I got so your month to month revenue is just fluctuating all over the place because you have no
Yeah.
consistent model. But because you have it numbered and systematized,
Yeah.
you probably know roughly how many new leads you're going to get a month. And it just makes it easier to project where you guys are headed, which I just think is super important. And it's what I see a lot of people look over.
Yeah. And I do think too that as we've grown, my emphasis is less on continuing to add more and more. It's
Mhm.
making sure we're holding on to the quality that we have. And so making sure that they are well cared for and that connection doesn't slip because I'm trying to gain more. So
Yeah.
I mean, I am always looking for more, but I'm also, I think now a lot more interested in the quality and the right fit of the clients that they're attracting as well.
Mhm.
Um, because again, that will bleed straight into our client culture too. And that becomes a bigger and bigger deal. Like this last
Yeah.
book that I purchased a year and a half ago, one of my failures is like I didn't do a good job of vetting out the client culture. And let me tell you, it's a really, really big difference.
Mm.
Client
And
culture. I
it
love that. I mean,
it
we
was
haven't talked
really
about that
hard on
yet.
my team. And now, I
Yeah.
mean, we're a year and a half in. Um, but it's funny that like I've been talking about client culture and how like us protecting it for before I purchased that book, but I did not think and about vetting that
Yeah.
client culture out.
Yeah.
Sure.
And honestly, if I really dig deep down and think about it, it would take a handful of questions of asking the principal some philosophy information, and I could probably get a good idea of what the culture of those clients would be like. So it is, so I would say referral partners are amazing, but you want to also make sure like they're not all created equal,
For
and really
sure.
making sure you're vetting out for the right fit for you, because the right fit for me is going to be different than the right
Mhm.
fit for maybe you guys too.
Yeah, two things on that. I want to dive into client culture if we can before we wrap up, but two things back on that topic, and you teed up one of them. But about the initial conversation when we were talking early on about what does that conversation look like? How do you? What's worked really well for me is like telling this potential referral partner, "Hey, my only job in this relationship is to make you look like a rock star.
So
That's
good.
it." And like that's the value. That's more than giving the referral back, because to your point, when
Mhm.
when they call and you say you're working with Andy, man, Andy knows what he's doing, he's on it, that's a great decision, whatever. And then you get them talking to their prospective clients saying you have to talk to Stephen about insurance because he makes it so easy for us through the process. And I have a
Yes.
handful of referral partners that have gotten to that point because when their quote requests come in, we get right on it. We go,
Yeah.
we prioritize those. We do it the right way. We know what the binder needs for the closing. We know all that stuff, and everything is just inside of their process. To your point of we're at the end of the process, but guess what? They still need us to end their process. So I just think
Yeah.
that's a huge point. One thing before we touch on client culture, and you touched on this about not every referral partner is a good referral partner. How
Hmm.
over your time of doing this referral game, how have you handled the relationships where they only send you like the stuff that needs attention, the stuff that's sticky, that and I think we've all had those situations where you meet maybe a mortgage broker and they send you a few things, but it's only like, oh, this is a tough one, so I need you to solve it,
A
but they're
house with
not.
boarded up windows, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
something that's more difficult.
Right. Honestly, they kind of, it comes to the surface, it rises to the surface really fast, right? Like
Mhm.
it will not take you long to figure out the type of client that they're attracting. I had a situation, this is probably 8 years ago now, so it's been a while. I had this mortgage broker, and as a person, we insured her. I really, as a person, dynamic, awesome person. But I could not believe the stuff that the things that she was sent over was just a hot pile. Like, it's just
Mm,
awful. And it's just, yeah, it, I have found it doesn't really take much of a conversation. It
right.
just kind of actually ends up weeding out.
Sure.
Um, and I also think putting light on things too, and being like, hey, I just want you to know, from an insurance perspective, here are the things that are impacting this right now. So
Yeah.
it's not like you look bad in front of their eyes, but you're also taking the time to educate them
Yeah.
Correct.
as
Yeah.
to why this someone is a challenge. And and we'll talk about insurance scores or old roofs, or I'm sorry, this used to be a country store, and now you converted it and it was built in 1800s, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have those conversations, but then we just won't prioritize them as high on you can't.
Yeah.
And so that will just kind of eventually weed them out. But I haven't like fired a referral partner. I think you just put the real energy into making the right one stick. And
Mhm.
then you just prioritize, if say you have two leads come in, and one's from, the hot pile lady, and one's coming from one of your star referral partners, right? You prioritize
100%.
correctly,
Yeah.
and then it kind of just falls into place.
And I
Yeah.
think
So
I think there's power too in drawing the parallel too to their industry as well. Like, hey, you don't necessarily want to work with someone that comes in has a 400 credit score and only has $1,000 down for down payment, whatever, and just drawing that to our industry. Beth, we got to look to wrap it up for time, but I want you to just real quickly talk to us about it just slipped my mind, the
client
client
culture.
culture. Yes, please.
Um, well, I guess I mean, I know I said this before, so I'm repeating myself, but like it is birds of a feather flock together. And and so I think as agency owners, one of the most important things that we can do for our team, because we're just easing ourselves out of a hard market, but honestly, coming out of the hard market is going to be harder than being in the hard market because we don't know where it's soft and where it's still hard, and it's going to be crazy feeling. And then you also, I think we're seeing clients loyalty probably at an all-time low, and they're willing to just jump ship real fast, faster than I've seen. Like this is this transition is going to be hard, but especially because our teams are so tired. And it takes different skill sets, just like you said with those SOPs. Like that is a living, breathing thing, and it doesn't what's going to work right now is not what worked so much in a hard market. And so when our teams are already fatigued and they're having to shift, and that one of the best things that we can do for them is protect the type of clients that we're willing to take on in the agency. And I'm not talking, I mean, yes, Kelly Donahue Piro does such a great job talking about being careful of over servicing unprofitable accounts and stuff. And I agree with that. But I pay much more attention to how are they treating my team. And so I will absolutely fire a client. And I actually even have a formatted kiss off letter. And it doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Um,
Don't
Probably
make me
every
make
couple of
another
years.
SOP, Beth. Don't make me make another
Yeah.
one.
It's um but them knowing, here's what I'll say. When I was at the Big Red Farm, I worked for someone where I was thrown under the bus all the time. All the time. Not only thrown under the bus, but ran over by the bus. And it might have backed up back after me too. And you learn a lot about the value of having someone who like way has your back. Because I could shoulder quite a bit of that, but if I didn't feel like I had like the leadership had my back, then it just feels really icky. Then you just are in a fear all the time
Yeah.
because, you know, especially in markets like the hard market and what we're navigating right now. So client culture is just our way of protecting our team. Not that you're not going to have hard conversations or a claim isn't going to go sideways, but that they're not going to have to pick up the phone and deal with chronic people treating them poorly. They're not punching bags, and that if they're disrespectful, that we will ask them to leave.
I
So,
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that goes back to what we talk about too, about setting the agency standards, setting the pre-qualifying
Mhm.
questions, writing the right
Yes.
business, even from day one, no matter how much revenue you have to get going, like it's going to do leaps and bounds to do this all early on. Beth, we got to wrap this
Mhm.
up. Such great conversation. Thank you so much for taking the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Thank you,
I
Beth.
think that was really cool. It's something I love the attract versus prospect conversation. That was something I don't think we've had on the show before, so I really appreciate that viewpoint. Anybody that wants to follow along your agency or your journey, what's a good way to get in touch with you or just follow along with what you guys are doing?
Yeah, we're on social. We're on Facebook and Instagram. I'm sorry, Facebook. We are on Instagram, not as much on Instagram. Obviously, we're on LinkedIn. Otherwise, the URL is Aspire with an AASPIRE insurancegroup.com, and we're pretty active out there.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, everybody. That's another episode of the Scratch Agency Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor, like the show, share the show, and subscribe. And most importantly, remember to dig down deep, believe in yourself, and own your own future. We'll see you next week. Take care.